Hey everyone, hope everything's going well. I'm going to be doing another national video. I did one short video on Instagram, and I wanted to do one here on YouTube, my main platform. It was nice going to the national in Rosemont, Illinois, the convention center, the Donald Stevens Convention Center. I saw some familiar faces. It was a Sunday. It was a little bit slower than usual, but still a bunch of people. And once again, I did bump I did bump into a few individuals. I was a bit surprised because it tends to be once again a slower day on Sundays. Now, before I get into the conversations I had with individuals, one rumor that caught my eye, and these are not crazy people that have, I've been communicating with. These are just normal individuals in this hobby. They are well connected. I will not divulge their names. The rumor was that during this national, a PSA 10 Mickey Mantle, the famous card, the 52 Mantle, that card, someone actually ended up purchasing that. And it's more than what Ken Golden offered, from my understanding, a couple of years ago. Now, once again, these are just rumors. I'm not going to divulge what the estimated amount that was purchased because it sounds crazy. Okay, but once again, I cannot confirm this beyond a shadow of a doubt. But this is what I've been told by multiple individuals, not just one. We shall see once again in the coming days and weeks ahead uh, if this is true. Okay. Now, I wanted to get my own thoughts about this national. I thought that it was a much better show than the past couple of years. Now, granted, I was here on a Sunday. It wasn't a hot convention center. I think it was like 4 years ago where it was just blistering hot. And they learned their lesson. Good job with the AC. Now, I did bump into a few individuals. Michael Ham, we actually saw each other. I thought to myself, is that Michael Ham? I've done content with him. I saw him at the National. It must have been what, 3 years ago, from my memory. And he then approached me, and then we talked. We had a friendly conversation. He actually won some raffle from Upper Deck, so that was nice for him to win that. I also bumped into the Iron Sheik from Alt. Had a decent conversation with him. Very high up individual at that company. I also wanted to talk to Brian Gray. Luckily, when I went to his desk or his booth, I think it was like near the Whatnot area. He was closing up shop, and then I just approached him. He recognized me. We had a decent conversation. He told me some interesting stories about his own flipping. He bought this one Brady card, I think it was for $24,000, and he said that he sold it for $240,000 just the other day. He grossed what, $1.9 million in sales, and that's much more than what he bought. So he did well for himself, assuming that I understood what he was saying with the numbers, because it was just a very quick conversation that we had. But from what he said, that the money is pouring in, and what's going on is people are selling a bunch of cards to acquire the Grail, because that's what's going up in value. You don't see these mid-end cards, as he defines it, just nothing that's, if there's a large quantity of these cards, they're going nowhere. And I've had experience just recently selling some of these Brady cards. They're not going too much. Like, if it's not his base card, if it's not some of his scarce rookie cards, or it's not his scarce one of one cards, like, those are not going. Those are flat. But if you look at, once again, some of Brady Chrome, 2000 Chrome, the 236 card, for instance, the one that I talk about this all the time. I use it as a reference because that's a card that a lot of people can afford. When I was buying them, I was buying it at like what, $250, 2019. And now it's at 5 grand. I was selling them during the pandemic. I thought like, holy moly, this went up too far too fast, and it was about what, $1,800, $2,000 when he retired, and then all of a sudden this year it went from $700, the PSA 8 card, to $5,000. That is utterly insane. I've talked about this on the Professor Sports Card Live. Okay, but Brian Gray says that he thinks that I need to get him on. I'm gonna message him and see maybe I could do some podcasts. I need to get back into podcasts. I may not do lives. I may just do just like 15 30-minute podcasts just to hear different voices. I used to like interview people that usually think like me, but I want to hear some different perspectives just to, hear the other side, hear what they're seeing, as dealers, what they're seeing as speculators, what they're seeing as collectors, rather than just like my own type of view. Now, getting into all of this, you have Brian Gray. Brian Gray says that now if people are buying those cards, what are they going to go into next? Are they going to go into the Steph Curry cards? Are they going to go into then Gretzky? He thinks Gretzky's cheap. Because I was buying Gretzky in 2022. Like not like the 79, 80 O-Pee-Chee cards. I was buying like what, the 84, 85, 86, 87. These cards have gone nowhere. However, he thinks like those cards are dirt cheap, and he'd be comfortable with his net worth putting money into it, because we haven't seen the hot money go into there. You've seen the GOATs with what, Jordan, you've seen Brady. I mean, you see LeBron. LeBron is still popular among collectors, millennial, Gen Z, Gen X. They're buying his cards. So who's next then? It would definitely be someone like Gretzky, in my opinion. Then you could look at Woods. Tiger Woods obviously has had some off the field issues, but still, he's the best golfer in our lifetime, without a shadow of a doubt. Are those cards to be looked at, for those that are flippers? But even long term, see a meltdown in markets. Like, those are the cards, in my opinion, to flock to. Yeah, things are going to be tough. If people have the resources, those are the cards to buy. A few other notes that I took during the convention, the Sports Card National. A lot of Pokemon cards out there. I was surprised for a sports card show that a lot of dealers had those. And that's quite interesting because Pokemon has gone up like crazy. So if someone brings their kids or wife or whatever, they still can buy Pokemon. Very, very interesting. Some dealers are selling some Lorcana cards as well, but obviously mainly sports cards. And what made my day at the National? Obviously meeting the individuals that I mentioned above. I probably would have met more people if I went on a Thursday or a Friday. The individual that approached me today, he said that, hey, are you AI at Sports? I said, yes, I am AI at Sports. Now, here's what ended up happening. He told me that, hey, you're the dude that helped me retrieve the $17,000 from Juan Garcia and card porn. What happened was I kept on doing stories about Juan Garcia, card porn. I even, on this guy's behalf, I went to the Australian Police Department, or I tried to get more information regarding that. And because of all of this pressure that was pushed on Juan Garcia, I actually covered these stories before a lot of other channels covered them, is that this individual had a Jordan card and he bought it from Juan Garcia, and it was not an authentic Michael Jordan autograph. And what ended up happening was, the reality is, he was getting ghosted by Juan Garcia. No one in the hobby was covering it. I covered it, and then all this pressure came out. I think Ravel may have covered it at his Action Network when he used to write there, With all this pressure, he eventually went to the police. Police pressured Juan Garcia basically to send it over. Juan Garcia wired the guy the money, and the guy thanked me for it. So for all the guys saying that my content is negative, there's an individual out there that got recouped $17,000 and he's appreciative of my work. Not all of this content should be perceived as negative. It does help individuals out. It does at least put some people, it does hold at least some individuals accountable. So it made me feel great because, like, what happens behind closed doors, I get psychos in my DMs. I don't explain in detail what I had to deal with the last 3 to 4 years. I did take basically this year off because I've been working 60 to 70 hours a week sometimes, even during the holiday season. And I didn't get that many nasty messages, but when I was covering these hard hitting issues before everyone else, it was just, it's unbearing just dealing with all this craziness. So I'm glad someone actually has appreciation for my work, the many hours that I spend, and now I don't even do YouTube ads. I don't get paid for this. So that made my day. And I'm glad individuals like my content. Not everyone will. So just wanted to point that out. Anyways, let me know your thoughts, what you experienced at the National, your observations, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.